going well. Boy, I mean, that's an important thing these days, right? Things sometimes can seem day to day. What's happening lately? What's the latest story? What are the latest updates? Thinking about your family, thinking about your job, your career, the future, and thinking about the decisions you're making in your own personal life, thinking about your faith. There's just been so many things that have happened this year, and we feel blessed that we've been able to be right there alongside of you through all of this. Some things we've had answers to, some things we haven't, and we're still looking into and trying to figure out. But we do work on faith, family, and freedom. We are a nonprofit organization, and so we want to talk to you really about what's been going on over the past several months, and also some critical deadlines that we have. But we hope that you'll be encouraged. So we're going to spend 30, 45 minutes. We're going to try, maybe we'll go an hour. And really during this hour, if you feel inspired to support the nonprofit work we do for faith, family, and freedom, you can make a donation at txvalues.org. You can go online and make a donation. We do have a critical deadline of June 30th when our fiscal year ends. And you could also make a phone call, 512-478-2220, 512-478-2220. As a matter of fact, right now, members of our team, they're making phone calls just saying thank you to people for standing with us during this very difficult and challenging time. But we hope that you've been able to feel we're standing with you as well during some of the work and questions and threats to our liberties and all those things. And I want to talk a little bit about some of that. We've had some great victories over the past 12 months of this fiscal year, but really over the past 2 or 3 months, some of the work that we've been doing for faith, family, and freedom has been incredibly important in different parts of the state. As a matter of fact, I was up till almost 11 o'clock last night. We were doing some work, members of our team, we were doing some work in different parts of the state on critical issues that relate to religious freedom and family values and things that I know you care about as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and you continue to think, what can I do? I mean, the one thing that you can do is continue to pray, if you can, daily, for everything that's going on. Pray for our team and your family as well. Stay encouraged. To keep, maybe that sense of optimism or that belief to continue to hang on for a little bit longer. We're an opportunity where things get better. Maybe things are going really well for you. Maybe you're in a position to bless others. We'd love for you to consider making a donation at txvalues.org for our nonprofit work. But we've been very active, and so I want to bring, over the past 12 months, and particularly the past 2 or 3 issues, and we're going to answer questions. Put some questions on the comments there. Share this video as we talk about what's going on religious liberty, what's going on some of these government rules, how can we respond to them, how can we continue to see things move in a positive direction in some of the work we do, how can we push back on things related to what's happening at the U.S. Supreme Court and things of that nature. There are 2 big Supreme Court decisions that are about to come out, and we'll be updating. One of them may be coming out tomorrow on a very critical. I just want to give you a couple of highlights, and then I'm going to bring David Walls in from our team. Earlier this year, we were able to defeat sex education, radical, pro-LGBT, pro-abortion sex education in Austin ISD public schools. And so that was a huge victory. And you might be asking, what can I do? That's what a lot of people are asking us. What can we do? You know what they did? They partnered with us, not only financially, but on the ground. They came to these meetings. They responded to our email. Maybe you're watching this video, maybe you're not even signed up for our email, right? You're one of those folks that you lean a little bit more on social media. You need to be signed up for our email. Go to our website, txvalues.org, or send an email to info@txvalues.org, because we send alerts out all the time, and those alerts we send out, some are text message. Put your cell phone number in there, that would help, and sign up for text alerts. They came to these meetings. They also helped us put meetings together. They communicated with elected officials. They found out who represented them. And who would have thought in Austin ISD that we could make a difference and shut sex education down? But that's exactly what we did. And if you don't live in the Austin ISD, you're probably in a better position with your school district. They're less likely to adopt what Austin ISD did, because it usually is one of the more liberal school districts. But I want to bring David Walls in from our team, who is the vice president of Texas Values. And it's been David and I since the beginning, when we started Texas Values, really with an idea in 2012, and kept getting things official. And so we're coming up on almost 8 years, David, of the work, and I think you might need to maybe move a little bit closer to me. We're good? All right. Hey, look, we're learning a lot more about technology. I'm sure all of y'all are as well, as we continue to try to be creative, but also respond to a lot of things that are going on. But, David, and I mentioned the Austin ISD thing, and look, you have a variety of roles in our organization as vice president. But I tell you what, this past year, and not to suggest other issues don't matter to you, but it did get a little bit more personal than some of the issues because you live in the Austin ISD school district. But you can really speak so much to, really the value of having an organization like ours. But it hit a little bit more home this past year.
It certainly did, Jonathan. And, this really even opened my eyes as someone that's been involved in this battle since we started Texas Values, and even a little bit before that. There is a battle going on right now for the hearts and minds of children, our children in public schools. This in Austin, about it a lot, and a lot of folks may go, well, why are you focusing so much on Austin? Because it is a launching pad for what efforts that we're seeing trying to spread statewide. And I've got 3 young kiddos. My son was in Austin ISD. He no longer is, but I walked through this process of what Austin ISD tried to do as a parent for the last 2 years, really. And it is just reinforced all the more why the work is so important. You hear us talk a lot about the work that we do at the Capitol, and that's obviously always going to be a primary focus. But so many times what's happening in your local community, Jonathan mentioned that we were involved in some work yesterday in Mansfield ISD up in the DFW area, in Laredo. Mm-hmm. And really, as I look back, I'm just so thankful for the way the Lord has blessed us. We've been able to grow our team.
Yep.
And that has really enabled us to spread across the terms of the amount of work that we're able to do, because we recognize that what happens in your local community many times is even more important to you. It's what affects you, and even closer sometimes at what happens at the state capitol, and certainly is closer to home than what happens at the federal level. And so,
well, I want to mention something too. You touched on the size of our organization.
Yeah.
So you and I have been, we started Texas Values together from the beginning. And, there were 2 of us, well, there were 3 of us at one point, if Kathy Capolino's watching. And so there were 3 of us, but, we were doing a lot of the legal and policy work and a lot of those things. And, Kathy was doing a great job at that time, too, with helping us figure some things out as we were. And now we're a team of 12. And look, we think we still got a lot of room to grow. We actually have a new pastor and church outreach project. We'd love to double that number of team members. Texas is a big state, right?
Huge.
And so having 12 members of our team, that we've been able to have those members of our team is because people have invested in our work and they've seen value. And I did see that play out a lot last night, right? We had a member of our team in Laredo on the ground, even though they were holding this meeting virtually, but Mansfield was also holding meetings simultaneously. Okay, this was going on. Members of our team were engaging on social media. They were providing insight to elected officials. They were also giving updates on what was going on to people that were wondering. And right before that, they helped facilitate a lot of testimony. We as a team put together some of that strategy. And those are just, a couple of examples. But some of that is because we've developed relationships across the state. We've got folks that are doing our work in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in South Texas and Central Texas. And obviously, we have supporters in all 254 counties of the state. But we're, I think, helping people kind of, move to that next level. Some of them are working officially with us. Some of them are just developing their work as volunteers. But a lot of that has been a response to the needs, the attacks on Texas. Some people think, right, whether it's a color they want to turn Texas blue, or however they want to redefine our values, there is, Texas is the prize for a lot of people that, do not agree with faith, family, and freedom values. And so, but, part of that has been planning financially. It's been trying to make good decisions, but also strategic decisions, and having more people a part of it has made a big deal. And we've been responsive to those local issues. The legislature only meets every 2 years, right? 5 months. And they do some things in between, but man, there could be a lot of action, a lot of local governments that are active on these issues and think, well, we're going to do something. If the legislature undoes it, we'll see. But that has revealed to us that it matters to people locally, and it matters to our policy issues. And so it's great that you've been in tune in that, and also you able to kind of have a deeper appreciation, if you will, if I could say it that way, for what people are going through when that issue comes to their town.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we, Jonathan already plugged, getting signed up on our email, being on our Facebook page is great. One example of why that's so important is, we just sent out another action alert yesterday, and I think we'll be putting more details up on social media probably after this video goes up. But we're in the middle of a statewide battle over radical sex education. The same forces, the same groups that are behind what was being pushed in Austin and what Austin ultimately adopted, even though they did not move forward with teaching it this year. They're pushing in our State Board of Education right now. And so this is just all the more reason why this is an important time to engage with us. I was just looking at our numbers. We've already had thousands of our supporters reach out to the State Board and really support us in the last few days. Recognize so many times with everything that's going on in the world right now, folks need to feel, well, who is a voice for me? I can't be, the exciting thing is that the State Board of Education meeting is going to be virtual, so there's actually been a way for folks to engage without having to come here to Austin. But most of the time, a lot of folks maybe not able to travel, come here to Austin, come to the board. We are that voice for you. And so your support helps us grow and expand that. And as Jonathan mentioned, what's the significance of June 30th? We budget on a July 1 through June 30th fiscal year. So the end of June is literally when we close our books, our budget cycle ends, and we have to have the funds to pay for everything that we've done throughout this year and to be able to go into next year confident with the resources that we need to move forward. And so this is our most important fundraising. June is our most important fundraising deadline of the year. And so really encourage folks, know this has been a tough time for a lot of folks.
It has.
But any amount.
Well, look,
we have thousands of supporters. No. Any amount can help, and it all adds up.
It's no exaggeration. And really, and I know it's kind of a dream, a challenge. It would be exciting if every single person that is on our email list, okay, I know some people on our email list that are not friendly, and they're always trying to watch what we do. The ones that really actually are supporting our work, if every single one of them just gave $1. Now, I know many of them are going to give more than $1, and I encourage that, okay? But some people have never made a donation to us, and sometimes it's the belief that, oh, my gift of $5 really doesn't matter. It's absolutely not true. I mean, I don't remember what our latest numbers are, if you really put everything together. Is it 150,000, 200, how many people, 200,000, how many people are on our email list? But, our goal, we still need to raise $100,000 before the end of our fiscal year. So if everybody on that list gave $1, we're there, right? Yeah. Now, we recognize some people are, they just don't work that way, or they don't make donations online, or however it is. But my point is, I would just love to see everyone engage at that point and have that any level of investment. So you're right there with us, right? So you're with us as far as the investment, but you're also going to get the return, so to speak, if I could state it that way. And David, we're going to talk a little bit with Mary Elizabeth Castle from our team in just a minute about some of those education issues. But the other thing that I think a lot of people know us for, which is critical right now as well, is the elections. We're helping equip people with information about elections, about the election process, and about how important it is. There's a runoff elections coming up, really that start on Monday and go for a couple of weeks for a variety of different districts across the state. That's somewhere where we've made a big investment and spent a lot of time so we can get more people that will go out and vote. Absolutely.
And we've got some great resources that I know Jonathan's mentioned and been a part of, but if you go to txvalues.org right now, we've got a great video that was just recently put together that talks about churches and elections and what your rights are.
That's right.
Part of that
I know the guy in that video.
Yes. Part of that relates to our to the Free Voters Guide effort. That is a great resource that is completely appropriate for C3s and churches to share. freevotersguide.com and encourage your members to go for themselves. And in doing so, folks can put in their address and get information on the candidates that are going to be on their ballot. And there are some very important races that are in the primary runoff. And as Jonathan said, early voting starts Monday. and Election Day is on July 14th.
Yeah,
So-
look, I mean, you could share some of our social media posts, forward an email, send some of our links, and look, we want to be sensitive. We know things are tough for a lot of people financially, and just the thought of making a donation, even if it's for $1 or $5, I'd love to see, 10,000 of our people just give a $5 donation. That would be great, but maybe just the thought of it is difficult for you. Don't think that's the only way that you can help and engage us. You can forward our information to people. You could forward an email we send out for fundraising. Maybe there are other people that help. You could volunteer time with our work. You could share this with your local elected official. We'd love to see them hearing from more constituents to be motivated to do our work. I want to mention one last thing, David, and then I know you got some work to do. You're going to do some thank you calls, and we're doing some other things. But I want to make an admission. When we first started working on the Austin ISD sex education issue, I was fully supportive of what we were doing, and I knew it was valuable. But there was part of me that was like, man, this is going to be tough. And time to time, is this where we should be putting our resources? Because you have to have that balance, of a lot of issues that we're dealing with. What's the right time to focus on this and that? And I just knew we've been up for. But you were very adamant to me about, look, I'm seeing this. This is a reason why we should do it. And I continued, and so did our team, to be responsive of it. And I'm glad that we did. And I think it continued to reinforce what we know, too. This is also where our office is. We see what's going on with local government when they're not checked and they're not held accountable. And so I really appreciated that, how much it meant to you, but also how things get done, and when people invest, when they're committed to it, and then we see the value. And I tell you what, when we showed up at that Austin ISD member meeting, it was very clear that this was an important issue and that other people agreed with us, even in Austin, that it was time to push back. And we got a victory. We'll have to stay on them next school year. But David, thank you so much for the work that you do for Texas values, for faith, family, and freedom across the state. And couldn't do it without you. All right.
Appreciate
So, we're going to have this, and that we'll be kind of highlighting some different things that we do. And you'll hear this at the end. I'm just going to mention, too, ways to give. I'm going to go to my slide here, that you can go to txvalues.org to make a donation to support our work. And I got this cool little prop here, this Arctic tumbler. If you send an email at info@txvalues.org and you give a $100 donation, this is a great way to keep your drink cool over the summer. And I can still continue to love. I'm drinking coffee out of this coffee cup today, as a matter of fact. I need to sanitize it after I use it, I guess. All right, come and take it, right? You see what's there? That's the Bible. That is not the canon from Gonzales, but it's clearly that's a part of that flag, and that's a part of that message. It's got our logo on the back, because that's exactly what we were dealing with and still continue to deal. There is a target on the Bible and those biblical beliefs, and that is what heard us call about these ban the Bible bills that deal with sexual orientation, gender identity. We're fighting. So, $50 donation. You can get this come and take it with the Bible there coffee mug to add to your collection, like many of us have. But it's a reminder of really where we are and what we need to be doing and the mindset we need to have. But send an email at info@txvalues.org. You can get that coffee mug. We'll send one out to you. I want to have Jonathan Covey come in to the video here too. Speaking of ban the Bible bills and policy issues and debates, that is where his focus has been. Jonathan's our new director of policy, and boy, he got on with us in April, and things were just moving.
Things have been really rolling.
And I mean, we met you in the interview, but I don't think I really got to spend time in person working with you for probably about 6 weeks.
It was the most job hire I've ever done because I spent probably the first 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks of the job at my house in my living room,
Right.
literally on Zoom all the time. So
You had a good backdrop too.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really staged well.
Yeah, the grand piano and everything. So yeah, it's been very interesting.
Well, and look, I mean, we were immediately, and I want to highlight a couple of things here. One of the things that we were immediately doing, and this is a graphic from our website, txvalues.org. And if you continue to wonder, what can I do? How can I get engaged? Go to our website, txvalues.org. Check out the resources. The answers may already be there, right? How to vote, how to get involved in elections, What do I do if my church isn't sure if they can reopen yet? What are the latest rules? What's the Supreme Court saying? We got a lot of great stuff on our website, but one of these is these resources about churches reopening, frequently asked questions. That was a big deal for several weeks, and maybe a big deal still for some churches, but we were getting a lot of calls on those issues, and you were a big part of that. I mean, kind of breaking down local government rules that were changing almost by the day.
Yeah.
Really active work during that time.
Yeah, it was really an honor to get to help some of the churches and the pastors who were calling in asking for help. And we did. We had a lot of churches, pastors call in and ask, okay, so how is this affecting me? What is this? And we were able to go in and look and do a little bit of legal research and analysis and call them and tell them.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, and look, I mean, this is how things are for us a lot of times. We got to respond in the moment. No one saw the coronavirus coming, and particularly not at the level, and then to impact churches. And not only that, but we had this big battle with Planned Parenthood where the government said we're not going to have abortions being performed for a certain amount of time to conserve sources for medical resources for the coronavirus issues. And the abortion industry, Planned Parenthood, said no. They wanted to keep taking life when we were trying to save lives. They sued the state of Texas. The Attorney General went to work. We went to work with one of our counsels, Jonathan Mitchell. He's one of the 12 members of our team. That case went to court all the way up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. We put our brief in there as well, which was acknowledged to some extent by the opinion. And that was a victory at the Fifth Circuit that Texas Values was a part of helping with. And a huge victory, because for about 14 days, we believe that abortions were stopped for the first time since Roe versus Wade, possibly 2,000 lives being saved during that time.
Yeah, we did a little bit of research figuring about 144 lives per day times 14. It was just really fascinating, really amazing, and we were just really grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah. And so now, I mean, we got these battles, and I got to mention, last night, Mansfield ISD, Laredo ISD tried to push different policies that related to sexual orientation, gender identity, probably, both of them because of what the Supreme Court ruled in trying to redefine sex. Right. But we didn't just sit here and say, well, what are you going to do? The Supreme Court ruled, we got to wait until we go to court, they're probably going to win. We said, no, let's put, it may be an uphill battle, it may be unlikely, but we're going to stand up for what truth is. We let people know, so we worked on those two issues, and we got a big victory in Mansfield last night.
We did. We got a great victory in Mansfield ISD, and you and I and our another teammate Mary Elizabeth Castle were up till almost midnight last night, trading texts, talking with people, trying to do some analysis.
Because everything was virtual.
Everything was virtual, and so Mansfield came and voted 7-0 to knock down this proposal, and we were just very grateful for that. Very grateful for the support of people like Representative Bill Zedler, who wrote in and opposed this proposition as well, and it was just really good to see that people were cognizant and sensitive to this issue.
Yeah, well, look, and so if you're in that area, Mansfield Independent School District, send a note to your school board member because it was a unanimous vote.
Yep.
Tell them thank you. It is a very difficult environment right now in these issues, particularly for elected representatives that when this issue gets pushed on them. And so, but there we were providing analysis for them. And let me do, right? This is the topic and the subject of our video, or how can I make a difference? Those emails that you sent in, those messages, responding to our action alert, boy, we got a huge response from that, and we're seeing that on some other issues as well. I heard from one of the school board members that 75% of the emails that were sent in on that issue were in opposition to it. They were on our side. And a lot of times people feel like, is that really making a difference? Absolutely. Yeah. It's making a difference. But that, I think some of that is because we're able to communicate to them in more of a simplistic way, in a short way. Here's what's going on. Here's what we need you to do. And take action. As a matter of fact, if there's anybody watching from Mansfield, drop a comment from us. All right, we'd love to hear if anyone from Mansfield that was a part of that, or at least just cares because you live in that area, because we know we got a lot of supporters about there. But sometimes that's all it takes.
Sometimes it is.
2 or 3, bullet points that we're putting together.
Yeah, and we had like you said, we had a very high and very good response in Mansfield, also in Laredo ISD, which
we're still sorting through what exactly happened there, to be honest with you. So we haven't commented on that just yet. We've got some concern, but we know for sure that the Mansfield issue was a victory, and a big victory.
Yep.
So we're prepping now, though, These are local battles. We're going to stand up when they happen. We've got a Supreme Court decision that's coming out on the pro-life issue, maybe tomorrow. But we're also doing our prep work for the legislative session. Past 4 sessions, Texas Values has been a part of leading the effort to getting a religious liberty bill and a pro-life bill in 4 consecutive sessions. And it's not necessarily about that kind of statistic. That's something to be encouraged by, but that's something we want to continue. Right. And so we're preparing now for the session. Bill's going to be filed in November, and we're already starting our prep work.
We know that pre-filing starts first part of November, so we're getting ready. We don't have that much time. We're trying to prepare, get our bill drafts together, and we presented the heartbeat bill last session. We're going to bring that one back. We have some religious liberty bill ideas that we're going to bring back as well, and we're looking forward to kind of moving in some new directions that we think are going to be applicable.
Yeah. Well, some of that is going to be responsive to things that we saw happen during this coronavirus era, and some local governments that have gone way too far, and people really putting people in tough positions. Before I let you go, so to speak, I want to mention Jonathan Covey worked with Senator Bob Hall. He was a senior advisor there, and also chief of staff for James White. The ability for him to be a part of our team is because people have supported our work. And so I want to encourage you during this almost hour of power, so to speak, go to txvalues.org. He's got a family to feed, okay? No, but honestly, I mean, the point is, when people continue to invest in us and we're able to grow, collectively our budget's $1.3 million with the 2 entities that we run. That allows us to see, okay, we can start investing and bringing more people on. Right. People of his caliber that have worked for numerous legislative sessions at the Texas Capitol with his law background as well. And so, and that's, in a lot of the work we do, you got to be at that level, or you have that experience, or it can make a big impact. And so, if you've already invested, you helped Jonathan Covey become a part of our team.
That's right.
And many others. And so we'd like to see that continued. That deadline is June 30th. Jonathan, thank you for the great work you're already doing for us at Texas Values. And so we're going to try to move through the office here. And we've been having some unexpected technical work being done. So I don't know, you might see the service guy here. But, I mentioned that we've got 12 members of our team. I'm going to try to find that slide in here a minute so you can see all those folks. But and I think actually it's on our website. But I want you to see some of the folks that are here. Some are in other parts of the state. Shout out to Judah Atkinson, who's up in Dallas-Fort Worth. Pastor Jorge Tovar, who's a part of our team. He is in South Texas and Laredo, was probably up pretty late last night with that Laredo city meeting. But I want you to see some of the other members of our team. And if you ever want to come by the office, we're at 900 Congress, just 2 blocks from the Texas Capitol. We're in Suite L115. You can come say hello. We're going to get back to doing our monthly meetings, if you will, where we had an open house the last Friday. So as things start to open up a little bit more. But I want to walk around the office a little bit and let you see some of the other team members. Because look, it's not me and Jonathan Covey and David Walls alone. We got James Wasolik working the camera. Behind us is a lot of our social media work. And so let me go. All right, I'll walk in front. And so Nancy Carter will be back at her office her desk in just a minute. She's up front. She's been with us for several years, and so has a tremendous background in public service. So does her family, and really loves being a part of what we do, and tries to keep us all in line here as things try to keep them organized. But right over here is actually James's office, but one of our interns is in here, Ruth. She's making calls right now saying thank you to people because over the past months, we know it's been difficult. And I've talked with a lot of folks. I know there have been challenges, whether it's financial, family strain, maybe you're all at home together and you're not used to that, whatever the case may be. And so we, every now and then, just try to take a chance to let people know we're grateful for them being a part of our work, whether it's a donation, whether it's volunteering, whether it's saying nice things about. Opening your home to some of the events that we have is always great. But this is our office space, and you can see some of our offices, we got 2 people in it, so we might have to be looking for a little bit more space. We'll see how that goes, but in the meantime, we're in pretty good shape. But I want to come back over here. This is Jonathan Covey and Mary Elizabeth Castle's desk. You can see Nancy's making calls back here. That's how efficient she is. She knows how to get things done. But here's Mary Elizabeth Castle. She is a policy advisor for Texas Values. And, she does look well rested, but she was up late last night because she was working on the Mansfield ISD issue and also Laredo ISD and was participating in a great call we did last night for our West Texas supporters. She is a proud graduate of Texas Tech Law. And so, Mary Elizabeth, you've been with us, it's not quite 2 years, a year and a half, or maybe a year and 8 months or so. but coming up on close to 2 years. And so never a dull moment, but you've been had a tremendous impact on our work. You've already got one legislative session under your belt. But, one of the things that you did, I want to highlight during this time period, during the coronavirus issue and others, was really trying to sort through some of these local laws. And it was pregnancy centers that were coming to us. And they wanted to know, are their services essential? Could they continue to operate? And you got right on that task. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of pregnancy resource centers had questions. They have a lot of women come to them who really have desperate needs. And so they were wondering if they could actually serve women in their community by providing diapers, baby formula, and other services, especially counseling and prayer for women who may have been considering an abortion, and helping them. So they were wondering during the coronavirus pandemic, when we were first shut down, if they would be able to actually be open and actually serve women in their community, some who were very cash-strapped and really needed help and resources. And as you know, diapers and other things weren't really available in stores. So we got on that, and they asked us, they reached out to us, and so I took a look at the local orders, and as it turned out, there is a term in there that said centers that actually provide these sorts of services can be open. So according to that analysis, and you can read the memo on our texasvalues.org website, pregnancy resources were actually able to stay open and serve hundreds of women during this time. So it was a great victory for them.
And here's what you can see what the graphic and the piece looks like on our website if you want to go to txvalues.org. Look, we had never done this type of legal analysis work specifically on these issues, and I think we responded in about 24 hours with your help and leadership on this issue, but it hasn't been limited to that. I mean, we've been interacting with a lot of churches. They've been trying to sort some of these things. Some of these things just happen, overnight, and we get questions about some of these issues. But I know that also you work for the legislative session, but the State Board of Education, boy, you've got a great background in education, and you've gone really deep. Those things are happening next week. Tell us a little bit about that and why that's important.
Yeah, it's really important that you participate at the State Board of Education next week. As you know, they meet quarterly, and we've been talking a lot how they're reviewing the health TEKS, which includes sex education. Now the time has come where the board will actually take up the discussion of the work group draft, and where it's time for you to look at that draft, and we actually have recommendations for what you need to say to the board about what should be in the sex education standards of the health TEKS. As we've been talking about, groups like TFN and CCUS and other organizations are trying to put in abortion, they're trying to put in LGBTQ issues, they're trying to push this comprehensive sex ed that we saw at Austin ISD. But you need to be there to testify. Now, you can't show up in person. It will be a virtual meeting, but we have information. We put out an action alert yesterday, and you can sign up online at tea.org to sign up to testify, and they will give you a phone call so you can testify to the State Board of Education. Be sure to tell them that they need to have abstinence-focused sex education according to the Texas Education Code that says that they have to have that, and tell them that you do not want this radicalized political sex education that you saw at Austin ISD. And we have several other recommendations as well, but it's really important that you actually testify, and you also have an opportunity to contact the board members directly. Maybe you cannot take time off to testify, but it's important that you also email them directly. We have information how you can do that as well.
Yeah, well, and look, I want to jump in for a second on that, because here's what's different about this round of State Board of Education meetings. Usually you have to come all the way to Austin, and look, our office is about 5 blocks from the State Board of Education, the William B. Travis building, and that's a big reason why we're here. And another reason why, if you can continue to donate to txvalues.org, we can continue to pay our rent, because it's not all that low. But my point is, for this meeting, you don't have to come to the State Board of Education meetings and walk some of those really hard floors like we do many times. You can submit it virtually, electronically, and that means people from all over the state, wherever you are. This could be a great opportunity to show the board collectively this is what Texas people believe, and not really kind of have the local people, a lot of the local liberals here that live close, really kind of confuse people and think that there's a lot of support. So be watching our website, and that's a reason, if you're not signed up for our email, you got to. go to info@txvalues.org, send an email, or just go to our website. There's a sign up so you can get those alerts. We'd love for you to have the text alerts, because sometimes we'll put those out very quickly, but we're going to be explaining that process a little bit more. We're going to have some details so you can click that and say, okay, I need to know step by step what to do. We're going to provide that information. And Mary Elizabeth Castle also was a big part of the new law, Senate Bill 22, which is a pro-life law that also makes it clear that government cannot contract with abortion providers. And so that was key to us getting that victory in Austin ISD. I was talking about that earlier, but that's a big reason why there's a little bit more focus on sex education, on public education issues, because the folks that want pro-LGBT, pro-abortion, it's harder for them because now there's a state law, because it's not a good idea. And so they're going to be looking for every advantage, but you'll be on top of it. And Mary Elizabeth, thank you so much for the great work you're doing for Texas Values and all the people out there in Texas.
Yeah, it's great to work for this organization, and I hope you will join us in this fight at the State Board of Education and next session. We really need your support.
Great. Thank you, Mary Elizabeth. So we're going to walk back into the conference room. We're going to bring, well, you can kind of see a little bit around here. This is sort of our break room, and you'll see back here Joseph's office. Jonathan Covey, though, who you saw a minute ago, is making thank you calls, saying hello to folks. A little bit of discussion of some things we did here. You may remember the Christmas poster, the Charlie Brown Christmas poster victory. That was so much fun. You know, every now and then I'm walking through the halls here, and I'll be reminded of some of these things that we've done over the years, and I'll be taken back for a minute to that moment, right? When all of that stuff was happening, when it was in the middle of the battle. I remember this was a press conference on the south steps of the Capitol for the pro-life bill, HB 22. And so, and not that you want to get caught up and reminisce too much, but, there were key moments to some of our work where, we're right in the middle of the battle. But the reason that we're able to do that is because we know that you're there with us. I want to show you all this little thing over here, James. If you'll go to that come and take it thing. Somebody was so inspired and motivated by our work that they made this wood piece with that logo and that phrase and that really campaign, if you will, and messaging point of come and take it with the Bible. And I appreciate that when people do nice things like that and they give us gifts. And so this over here is the Texas Pastor Protection Law. And this is the actual piece of the law that was signed at the time by Governor Abbott. And the Senate author, Craig Estes, was so thankful for the work that we did to protect pastors from not having to perform marriages that go against our beliefs. He gave me the copy that the governor signed. But look, there's been a lot of those things that have happened over the years that we're encouraged by, but a lot of work still to do on our issues. Some of these challenges are different. I mentioned there's a Supreme Court case that's coming up. It could be announced tomorrow. And this relates to making sure that there are health and safety standards for abortion clinics so women don't die in those facilities. And unfortunately, they do sometimes. It's heartbreaking. And we would like to, that should be a minimum standard. But that's what Louisiana has. They have a law like that, similar to what we had in Texas. Our Texas law, a portion of it got struck down at the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, this case from Louisiana has gone up to the U.S. Supreme Court. We've been a part of a brief that's been filed at the U.S. Supreme Court on this issue. And what happens in federal court in Louisiana, they're a part of 3 sets of states. It could impact Texas, so we're going to be watching that. Could be an opportunity for us to revisit that issue in Texas, but also could give us an idea what are Gorsuch and Kavanaugh going to do on these pro-life related issues. We were extremely disappointed with what happened with the sex redefining case when Gorsuch wrote that opinion last week, and we're calling on members of Congress and state legislatures to stand up on these issues and do something about it. We need you to do that as well. Contact your elected officials and tell them you do not want this decision to stand. If you're a church and you're worried, how's it going to impact you if there's a law that's redefined sex? Will people use that against you? We've got some great analysis on that on our website at txvalues.org, and we'll continue to provide insight because this is a very new case. And look, there are religious liberty protections in place, but we know people are going to try to test them. And and people are going to wonder, is that enough? Those are things we're going to be looking at in the legislative session, while at the same time dealing with the fact that the Texas House LGBT Caucus has already made it clear they want to have a statewide sexual orientation and gender identity law, what we call a ban the Bible bill, because of the way that they're positioned. People of faith, because of their biblical beliefs on issues of sexuality, on issues of biology, and beliefs about marriage being between a man and woman. Let me just state it to you this way. One of those laws they tried to pass last year or last session, if you were a private Christian counselor and you wanted to have a meeting with a with somebody that would come to your office, right, a client, and they wanted to pray during the session, which is very common for Christian-based counseling, or they wanted to talk about what they've been reading in the Bible and what it says and how they're trying to navigate that, that law would have said no if it related to issues of sexuality or related to issues of marriage. They would have been banned from doing these things because some people think that in order for their views to be put forward on LGBT issues, everybody else has to be punished or banned from doing it. Or if you as a parent, you had your child come and ask you questions about sexuality, very common. Maybe they are struggling with some of these issues in their own identity. We know that that happens sometimes. And you wanted to have a conversation with a counselor and talk to them about it, on how you could talk to your child about their own biblical beliefs and your family's biblical beliefs and how to address those issues. That law would have made that illegal. Okay, and that is not what we want. It bans the Bible. The Bible gets taken out of that counseling session if these type of laws get passed. That's what we're fighting against all the time. And sometimes they're not that specific, so it's not always as clear to people that that's what could be at stake, but we've seen it time again. Thankfully, we have a relationship with national organizations. We are the organization that is officially associated with Focus on the Family at the national level. We have great friends at Family Research Council, our great friends at Alliance Defending Freedom and First Liberty. They really give us some good insight on what's happening in the federal level. I was at a meeting last week with the Trump administration. We're thankful that many members of our team get to go to the White House from time to time. That is the impact that you could have when you support our organization, txvalues.org. You can make a donation. I'd love for you to make a donation right now. Call us. I want to hear the phone ring, 512-478-2220, 512-478-2220, or go to our website, txvalues.org. Make that tax-deductible donation right now. We still got to raise $100,000 before the end of June. That is when our fiscal year ends. The ACLU and the LGBT groups, they would love to see us not hit and meet our budget. They would love to see us not have as much influence. They're rooting for it. They're trying to convince people on social media and in other avenues to discredit us, even though they know we have professional backgrounds and they know we get victories like we did last night in Mansfield. Okay, we were on that issue for like 4 days. Okay, there wasn't a lot of time. As a matter of fact, most of it happened on Monday. Okay, because we heard about some of it on Friday, but we were still trying to collect information, right? And sort through a lot of these issues, right? Trying to enjoy Father's Day. I have 6 kids. I wanted to enjoy Father's Day. But my point is, sometimes it doesn't take that much effort, but it takes us having the team that we have that is ready to respond. I want to bring Joseph Walter in. He might tell you a little bit about our beautiful tumblers that you can get for $100 in a donation, or our Come and Take It coffee mug for a $50 donation. But I know he probably wants to tell you a little bit more about some of the other ways that you can give with our Cornerstone Club, our frontline friends. Joseph Walter does development work for us. You might be getting a call from him too in the next 5 or 6 days, politely asking you to consider donating to us. Joseph, right. You've been with us about a year and a half too, doing great work. Appreciate you. Tell us a little more options of way people can give.
Sure. And I wanted to turn back to what you and David were talking about earlier. Like, we have a lot of donations that are small donations to large donations. Yeah. And we won't say no to large donations, don't get me wrong, but we do have donations and supporters from every county in the state of Texas.
Wow.
And so really the power that Texas Values has is because of the supporters like yourself. And so every little bit helps. And I've talked to many people who've said, I can't give a lot, but here's $10, here's $20. And every little bit helps. Every little bit helps in Mansfield, in Laredo last night at midnight. Every little bit helps. And so there's plenty of ways to give, and one of those ways is go to txvalues.org/donate, and you can, if you give it above $, you can be a part of the Cornerstone Club, which is a brand new club that we've introduced to some of our higher level donors. Perhaps you want to give, you're not able to give just fluidly, but you can give in enhanced ways. And so we actually have txvalues.org/enhanced giving, and that will give you some other options.
And let me mention on that too, Joseph, there can be a variety of ways for people to give. This Cornerstone Club maybe you had a great year. And we know a lot of people haven't had a good year, but some are still doing okay, and that's fine. And maybe this is your year where you're like, you know what, actually I'm doing pretty well. Let me help out a little bit more. Could be so helpful. So many of our supporters have told us at high levels, I've got to cut my donation in half. I've got to give you a smaller percentage. And we understand that. But that might be now your opportunity to say, you know what, let me help fill the gap. And the Cornerstone Club is great. It's $5,000 or more. In events like our Faith, Family, and Freedom Forum coming up in September, you get VIP access to that. You get seating. You get your pick and where you want to sit. Last year we had Ted Cruz, Chip Roy. We had some really people got to go to the green room.
Right.
I did have my birthday cake in there. Right. It was kind of a fun environment that fell on my birthday that year. But so we had this little room set up. Got to have some interaction with elected officials, a little, ask your questions. That's some of the things you can get with the Cornerstone Club.
Right. And that'll lead me to the Frontline Friends. So maybe you're not able to give $5,000 or more this year. Maybe you can give just $30 a month, $60 a month. That's $1 a day for the whole month. If you can do that kind of thing, you'll also get a fancy little coin that has the Come and Take It logo.
I lost the coin here. Here
It's
it is.
right.
Sorry.
Got it. That has that Come and Take It with the Bible on it. It's a great value, and that's really what you get with Texas Values.
Kids really like these, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were. My kids like them. We were at this event in San Antonio, and little Justice, that 1.5-year-old Eric and Dacius, it was like, they just really, but it's kind of neat because it's a conversation point too. Wait a minute. Why is the Bible in there on the Gonzales flag? What's that all about? But yeah, $30, you get this little neat little coin to place on your desk or conversation piece.
And that's really it. Is that if you want to invest in an organization that's really going to do a lot with just even your $10, or even as $1. If you give us $1, I guarantee you will get a lot more return on your investment in this organization with that $1 than you can with another organization.
Well, and before I forget, okay, so here's a couple of things, and sometimes people, they're already planning to go to these events. Like we have our Faith, Family, and Freedom Forum in September. It's going to be right here in Austin. We had 300 people last year. It's going to be Great Hills Baptist Church. We've got an in-person event, and we respect that. Not everybody's ready to get back to the big events, okay? You're trying to navigate. Maybe you have the virus. Maybe someone in your family does, and we hope you recover well. So maybe whatever the reasons are, you don't want to come to an event. We're going to have a virtual option. We're going to be streaming it for this event. You can buy, it's $10, okay? This is a day and a half. 3 speakers usually are at this event. Right. I just got a confirmation for some high-level official out of the D.C. area, national speaker. We're going to, we've already added some other elected officials to that. It's going to be fantastic, okay? And we're going to talk to you about these issues of faith, family, and freedom. What's the latest updates, and really be inspired that you can have victory, that this next generation can carry forward these values, that we can fight for them and we can win. Okay, so you can buy a ticket now, $20. Come to the event. We still got the early bird special,
right.
But $10 you can have online access. Sit at your home, eat your favorite dessert or snack, sit on the patio, whatever, be at the pool and watch it. Yeah. We're fine with that. $10, or you could do a sponsorship. You could do a $1,000 sponsorship and help us with the cost of that event. Mm-hmm. And then our gala is on November 13th. Right. You could go ahead and make a reservation for our gala. I had someone the other day, they purchased a $10,000 table. They were ready to go ahead and make a gift. Maybe I go to that event every year up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or every other year. Let me go ahead and buy my table and reserve it now. We'd love for you to do that.
Absolutely.
Just a variety. And there's also a video about planned giving now on the website for more sophisticated donors, I guess.
Right, and that's the txvalues.org/enhanced giving. And so once you go there, there's options gives you some guidelines on how to enhance your giving to Texas Values, and whether that's planned giving, or if that's a retirement, or stocks and mutual funds. It's how can you best support Texas Values, and that's just anything you can give is really the best way you can support us. And so we will take prayers, but we will also take donations at txvalues.org.
And if you give a gift, maybe you forward that to a friend and say, hey, I just gave to this organization. And I think we're working on this. It's been a little tricky. We may be having a video put up about how to do a Facebook fundraiser of your own. So if you want to do that on social media, and you can get your friends to engage on that. We're still trying to navigate. There's a lot of technology we've been trying to update ourselves with. James Wasolik, who's behind the camera, has been doing a lot of lead on a lot of new technology, and we appreciate that. And Joseph, we appreciate you too. I know it's not the easiest time of year or an era in our state and country to be asking people, can you give, can you make donations? And so, but I think that it just meets people where they are. If they can, they do. It's not high pressure, but a lot of people, I think, are seeing value in our work, and we're doing our best to stand right there with them and meet the needs, but staying on what we do best and not trying to do a whole bunch of different things, but focus on where we think there's value, but where we provide value. And hopefully that's resonating with folks.
Right. And I think whether it's $1 or whether it's a prayer, any support that we get from you is definitely very, very important.
Yeah, and we've got one last event, as a matter of fact, that's a little bit more organized, so to speak. That's tomorrow. Now, look, wherever you are, if you want to engage in the event, that's great. It's a little bit more focused on Central Texas. Senator Don Buckingham's going to be on that call. Congress will be on that call, and some other local folks, Matt Long from Fredericksburg Tea Party, other people that we do work with, to find out in a more detailed way what's going on some of our issues, but also be encouraged by some elected officials and let them know what you want them to know, and you want to ask them questions. You can go to Facebook and check our event page. That's at noon tomorrow, and you want to engage in it. It's a free event. I don't think we've charged for any of our events really for the past 2 or 3 months. And so really trying to, manage our costs, but manage your costs too, and be sensitive to that. But Joseph, thank you for all the great work you're doing. Appreciate you. And you may be hearing from Joseph soon. The thank you calls continue in our office. You may be getting one of those, and you may be hearing from me or other members of our team. But think about making a donation to txvalues.org. And look, I just want to tell you all, things are different than we expected them to be this year. And we're trying to make adjustments based on that. But in many ways, the attacks on our values have grown. Sometimes when there's chaos and there's uncertainty, people that disagree with our values, they see it as an opportunity to kind of really seize that moment and take advantage of that chaos. But look, we know that Jesus is our Lord, and that is constant. That does not change. And so we know for many of y'all, that's where you're focusing now. You're focusing on, I want to make sure that I'm focusing time on my family and my faith. I feel really blessed that I've been able to do that as well. And I encourage you to do that too, because I know sometimes that is our eternal hope. That's where we need to be going to first. And not to be too caught up in things that we're not sure about in the worries of the day, of the week. But I want you to know we shoulder a lot of that burden on the values that you care about, because that's what we do best. That's where we've invested our time. That's where we've invested our study. And that's what we know that we've got that experience with. And that includes other friends of ours, other partner organizations that we do work with, and leverage some of that time and those resources to get the most out of it. But I hope you'll see value in that. And look, I just want you to know it means a lot to me personally. I have a family too. A lot of things we're looking at, similar to what you're dealing with, right? And maybe I can go to the office and think about some of those things differently, and then you go back home. I'm no different than you. The reason I want to be optimistic and be encouraging is because I know that these values that we believe in, they don't change as well, that they are constant. And I know that they come from our Lord, and I know that myself, including members of our team, this is what we were called to do. To stand here, to stand with you, to stand for faith, family, and freedom, and to stand in Texas. And I think that that's what we do best. And if you agree, we encourage you to continue to invest in our work at txvalues.org. And just know that we will continue to be strong, and we'll have better days. We'll continue to be effective if we stand together for faith, family, and freedom in Texas. And so that's what we're going to do at Texas Values. Hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm off to another meeting. I got several things to do this week, but we'll have some really big updates for you later this week and next week on the Supreme Court and some of our issues. And just remember, we've got that June 30th deadline. If you can consider supporting us, or just tell a friend about us before then. And so in the meantime, look for updates. We got a great guest on our weekly radio show coming up on Friday. But God bless you and your family, and God bless Texas.